everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters, and today I'm here to show you how I made this really pretty simple card that is just made. I created my own background by stamping multiple stamps and colors. No die cutting. I did do some fussy cutting with the sentiments, but this is a really easy card to make, and I love how this card turned out. And wanted to share it. And so this card is part of the Casually Crafting blog hop today. It's the first time I've participated in this blog hop, and every month we share cards that are intended for the beginner or casual crafter, which means there's no die cutting. There may be some embellishments, maybe some designer series paper, but it's really intended to be cards that anybody can make, even the avid crafter, because I'm an avid crafter and I absolutely love the way this card turned out. So let me just switch over to my desktop and we'll get started. Okay, let me just see if I can bring this in a little bit. Okay, so this is the card. You can see that it is, I won't say it's a single layer because it actually, I did pop up, there's a layer on here that I stamped on and then adhered it, but you could actually just do this on a single layer of paper. And I've used the Pretty Perennials stamp set, which I absolutely am in love with. I wasn't so sure I wanted this, but I love this sentiment happy, but I also am really loving all of the flowers. So for this card, I took I've got a piece of thick Whisper White cardstock as my base. And then the first layer that I've stamped on is a piece of basic white that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. All of the measurements for my card, as well as the written instructions, are on my blog, and there will be a link to that underneath this video so that you can go out and get it. Not that this is really hard. So you need a card base, and you need one layer that is 4 inches by 5 1/4, and then some scraps for your sentiments, unless you stamp those right on top, which is also possible. So let me show you how I made this. So first of all, I've got my card base. This is thick Whisper White. Again, this one is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and I'm just going to fold it in half. Grab my folder and give it a good crease. There we go. So that's the card base. Then I've got a piece of basic white cardstock that is 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I've got a scrap here for the sentiments. Okay, so those can just, we're just going to stamp on this. Now I've got, these are my colors that I used. Calypso Coral, Bumblebee, oh, and I forgot one. I forgot Flirty Flamingo, which I will grab. Pool Party, and Pear Pizzazz. Oops. Okay. There we go. Now I've got them all. So Calypso Coral, Bumblebee, Flirty Flamingo, those are the flowers. Pool Party is the background, and then Pear Pizzazz for the leaves. So let's start with Calypso Coral. So I'm going to just stamp 2. You can do more, but I just started 2 kind of as the focal. These are the 2 big flowers as the focal focal point for this. So I'm just going to stamp them like that in the center of my piece. Done with that. Okay, so now let's do the Flirty Flamingo first. And get my lid open. Okay, there we go. And I've got this open flower. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to stamp some. My lesson about this, or my tip, is don't give up, because you may think that, oh, this is not good, this isn't working out, but don't give up on this. You can see here some of the images can go off the side because it takes some time for it to kind of come all together. All right, so that's my Flirty Flamingo. Now my Bumblebee. Now I should have brought my Stampin' Scrub, but because we're going to use the same stamp for the Bumblebee, so I just kind of cleaned it off. So add some more flowers around. Okay, that's those flowers. Now the next one is to add in your leaves. So I've got Pear Pizzazz. Now there are two leaves here. There is the outline leaf and then the one that fills it in. So we'll do the outline first. And we're just going to put this around here again. I know you're going to go, I don't think this is working, but don't give up on it. It is working. It will all come together as you keep adding. You will be very surprised. Starting to look pretty already. You can overlap a little bit. It's fine if you're, the images are touching. Okay, maybe that's good for flower leaves. Now I'm going to go back in on these leaves and just put the background in them. See how quickly this comes together. Just such a fun technique. Lots of people don't like to cut up their designer series paper because they might run out of it, but what a great way to make more designer series paper. Now I've also forgotten my tuxedo black, which I will grab because I want to do that next. Okay, there we go. I don't know why. I think I have everything when I'm getting organized here, and yet I don't. Okay, actually, I'm going to do my pool party, but polka dots next, and we'll leave the tuxedo black, the centers for the end. Okay, so now these leaves, or these polka dots, are intended to go on the stamp set on this leaf or this stem here, so it actually fits perfectly, but they're a great way to make polka dots on your card. Another way to use stamps that you might not think. So we're just gonna, my pool party definitely needs to be re-inked, but that's okay because I really want this to be a lighter image, so it gives that stamped off. So I'm just kind of adding these dots to my background, filling in the spaces that spaces that don't have the flowers and the leaves. Again, just kind of on and off, doesn't have to be fully on the card. I think I want something in here, so I'm just, there we go. And you don't have to fill this up completely, but I seem to have. Okay, now last step, and this is kind of what brings this all together. I've got the two centers, so I've got this big center that I'm going to stamp here in the middle. It just kind of is that wow, all of a sudden it looks amazing. I do say so myself. Oh, I've got the wrong stamp. I need the little tiny one. This one. Centers. All right, so we're going to put centers in all of these flowers. And that black is just the right amount to give it a pop. There. Okay, now while I have my black out, I have a scrap of basic white, and I've got my happy birthday, I got my happy and birthday all on the one stamp. I'm going to fussy cut these, which is why I've put them all. Let's make sure I've got room on this piece of cardstock for everything. Thought I did. Trying to be frugal with my paper and use up some scraps. There, okay, good. Now take your paper snips, and what I just did for the birthday, all you're going to do is trim the ends, is just to cut this. Doesn't have to be even. And sometimes it's better if it's not, so that it doesn't look like you were, you thought it was even and it really isn't. That's why I like fussy cutting around my sentiments. All right, now we're just going to fussy cut around the happy. Oops. Make sure I can see. There we go. All right, so we're just going to fussy cut around the happy. I'm just leaving a little bit of white around. And I know I've said this before on videos, when you're fussy cutting, you're really steering the paper with the hand, your opposite hand that has the scissors. So you've got your scissors in one hand and you're actually using your other hand to steer the paper and move the paper around, as opposed to moving the scissors. It just makes fussy cutting much easier if you do it that way. And I know lots of people don't like fussy cutting. I apologize to those. So if you don't like fussy cutting, you can actually just stamp your sentiment right over top of your flowers. That will work just fine. But this just adds a little bit of dimension to the card. You can do this with you can do this with stamps. If you don't, this is all about casual crafting. Lots of people don't have the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine or a die cutting machine. So you can actually take your stamps, not some of the intricate ones for sure, but some of the other stamps that there would be die cuts for, or there are die cuts for, but you can always cut out the stamps. There we go. So if you wanted to, for example, this big flower, there is a die cut for it, but you don't have to have the die cuts if you're not at that stage in your crafting. But you can easily cut out that flower by fussy cutting. So you might find that as you start to go, cutting out the flowers or any of the stamps is an option for you. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm not going to pop this up with dimensionals. I'm just going to adhere this flat onto my card, and then I'm going to even. That's all right. Then I'm going to pop up my sentiment. So I've got, I'm not sure, I've got the regular size dimensionals for the happy, but I'm probably going to add on some of the mini dimensionals as well, just because it just needs a little bit more to hold it and the space isn't big enough. So you could either take your regular size dimensionals and cut them, or use the mini dimensionals. Okay, so that's good for that. Take your tool. There we go. So you pop the happy up in the middle. And then for, oops, where's my birthday? Here it is. For the happy birthday, I'm using the mini dimensionals. It's just a little bit small. I don't want my dimensionals showing. Oops. And then this just goes underneath. Okay, so you can leave that card. I love how this card turned out. So you could just leave it as it is, or for a little bit of extra top a little bit of ribbon. So this is optional if you don't want to. So all I did was wrap my ribbon on the inside and around, and I'm just going to tie a little bow. So I want to make sure I leave myself some enough to tie a bow. Okay. Trying to not cut it off and not save some ribbon, which is probably not a good idea. All right, let's try, see if I can do this. I'll get it backwards for me. Oh, gosh. Yeah, get this in through. Okay. This isn't working out, Java. I'm usually pretty good at bows, but I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, there we go. Let's try this again. All right. Hold this tight. This is where you need a finger in here to hold this down. There we go. There's. I'll just trim this. So this is Calypso Coral ribbon. This is the ribbon that comes with the ornate, I think it's called Ornate Garden. It comes in a double pack. My bow's a little loose, but that's okay. It comes in a double pack of Calypso Coral and Old Olive. So it's really good. Okay, I have to tie this. Sorry, it's just a little loose. So one tip is, if your ribbon is not being cooperative like mine isn't today, is to take a glue dot. So this is the finger that you would sometimes get. Remember this when you were a kid, where you were wrapping Christmas presents and somebody, maybe you still do this, I do, somebody puts their finger in to hold it tight as you tie your bow. Well, a glue dot does that. So now you've got it perfectly held in place, which I should have done to start with. Fingers are all fumbly this morning. Oh. Okay. Like I said, I'm usually much easier to tie. There we go. Now that ribbon is nice and tight on here, and we'll just trim. So get somebody to help you, or use a glue dot to hold your ribbon in place as you tie a bow. There, perfect bow addition. So that is optional if you don't want to put that on. All right, let me just switch back over. So there we go. Isn't that a pretty card? A great way to just use your stamp sets and create your own designer series paper. No die cuts, nothing fussy here. I mean, a little bit of fussy cutting, but like I said, you don't have to actually fussy cut your sentiments out. You could just stamp right on top here, and it would be a lovely card to send off. So I hope you enjoyed that. All of the written instructions and measurements are on my blog, and the link to the blog is under this video. So check it out. If you have questions, please let me know. And while you're here, subscribe to my YouTube channel so you get notified when I do other posts for videos. I hope you'll check out my blog and let me know if you have comments. I'd love for you to follow me. So thanks everybody for joining me. Bye.